T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another Midheaven podcast with the only and your favorite Hermes Hades combo and duo. That sounds awesome.
I feel like at that point we might just like rename the podcast.
Hermes and Hades.
That's what it's about. It's about to become.
Yeah, actually, that would not be bad.
Those are our alter egos, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hermes Hades merch coming soon.
We should, right?
I'm Hermes, she's Hades.
Better known as Candace's Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. This is my partner in crime.
The Peace Dealer.
Peace Dealer.
Because the way we illuminate the stars is so accurate, it has to be a crime.
I'm super excited to start this episode. Do you know what this is?
I kind of underestimated how scary this season is, but yeah, I think you're talking about the aliens.
Oh, I'm talking about season 2 of the Midheaven podcast.
The aliens?
No, I mean, might as well be the aliens.
Season 2,
but officially, we have started season 2.
Wow.
We stuck with it. Fuck yeah.
That just sounds and feels good. I feel official as hell right
Blake
now.
was telling me like most people give up after like 3 or 4 podcasts and they never even finish like 6 months worth of a podcast or so. Very few podcasts break the 1 year mark or apparently make it to 48, 49, whatever this one is. I don't count anymore. I'm not going to count anymore, but
Season 2, bleep.
Yeah, season 2, that's what's important. I assume maybe we'll do something really special for like the 100th episode.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so we're here to talk to you guys a little bit about Aquarius season. We want to talk to you guys about what's coming, what's happening.
Did we start season 1 in Aquarius season?
I feel like during the retrograde in Aquarius is when we were like, oh yeah, we're going to do it. We started talking about it in November of 2020, but February was when we were like, okay, let's talk about it, which is kind of cool.
Right. Last time on season 1.
Yeah, well, I mean, we should do like a best of, highlights reel, like a season 1 highlights.
Coming soon.
I mean, I'm totally open to doing that. Oh, so yeah, we started exactly 11 months ago, and it was the Aquarian agenda, so it was Aquarius season. So
that's it.
More or less, I don't know. So is the podcast technically a Scorpio because that's when we were talking about it, or is it an Aquarius because that's when we actually gave birth to the project?
That's very true. I guess it's an Aquarius.
Yeah. Right?
That's what's up. It's an alien.
Oh my god! Actually, I have the chart somewhere for the podcast because I remember when you came over and we did a meeting, I was like talking to you and I was like, yeah, let's just look at what the podcast looks like if we do this like right now.
You did.
And it was very and our synastry last year was really great. So yeah, thank you for being one of the mutable signs that entered my life last year that definitely kind of shook things up a little bit. Thanks, eclipses.
And was actually consistent, kind of.
Yeah, no. That's the one. I've got to give you high five. Mike, you've been so consistent. He shows up for his charcuterie and his beers twice a month, sometimes more. Sometimes we got to get those hours in.
Thank you, Venus. I just want to thank Venus and Taurus. And Taurus rising.
The Gemini sun's like, hold my beer. Pulls a Kanye moment.
Yeah. I'm going to let you finish, but this is the best Caucasian household of all time.
Yeah. I mean, Mike comes here, he gets shrimp, cheese sticks, the whole 9 yards. That's where your guys' donations and your memberships go towards actually making it possible for me to feed my adopted Nigerian son.
Came in with a new beer fridge. I'm feeling. That's why it's season 2. No wonder. I was like, something's different about today. Okay, that's what's up.
So Santa did bring me a beer fridge. It's not a beer fridge. It's a wine fridge. But I'm still wrapping up my holiday box wine because I'm a piece of shit. So I don't have like a bunch of white bottles of wine to put in there. But like once April hits, best believe it's going to be like that chilled red or like rosés. And the bottom, you can't put beers in there, but I know you like those cheap Trader Joe's beers, so you know those don't fit in there unless they put them in there like wine. So it gave me an excuse to like fill the beer fridge.
Does it for me. You know, ladies, don't wait till season 3. I'm just gonna kick season 2 off. My sperm is big. 2013. Just want to make sure we clear.
Wait a second. Are you still trying to like sell your unvaccinated sperm?
I mean, I don't know if it's for sale, but
what's the going rate on some unvaccinated sperm these days? Like, what are you getting for like donations?
Well, I mean, there's all sorts of new variants out, so it just kind of makes more, you know, volatile.
Yeah, I mean, it's like at least 3 times more valuable than when COVID hit.
That's what I'm saying.
At this point.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, you know, y'all know where to find me. It is what it is. I just shout out to, you know, the few of you left. I don't know how.
Are you saying men or women? Or
Both.
just in general?
I don't know a woman with sperm, but like both.
Well, I know some women
anymore.
with some balls, so that is possible. Lady sperm.
Yeah, apparently I can get pregnant too. So like, I always had an opinion, but we never mind. It's all good. It's all good. But yes, season 2, we coming. But what are you looking forward for season 2?
I'm looking forward to hopefully start doing the man on the street stuff we talked about.
Yes, that would be
Once this bullshit, whatever is going on, conspiracy is done with, and we can all take our masks off. I want to go to Fremont Street and put you in a wizard hat, and we'll do Wizard on the Street, so you can go and hit up like drunk ratchet people on Fremont, and then pull tarot cards and like blow their mind.
Yes, this is the Lord's work.
Yes, and so I think that would be great. We just put you in a wizard hat, maybe like a sign that just says free readings, and we'll just bring in all the weirdos, and you can pull cards and like blow their mind. You'll have like the older black ladies like, oh my god, like
sounds like North Node Aquarius.
I think it would be so funny and so great. I also would like to at some point like get to a point where we can do more regular season stuff. Like last year we did the poolside episode, which was super fun, and obviously we did some fun stuff for Christmas, so I'd love to be able to like make that a regular thing.
I see a psychic vision. I see sponsors.
Oh, I hope so.
So many sponsors.
I hope it's sponsors. Like getting a real legit like company sponsor would be awesome, because definitely we would have more for production and like be able to like get into like a bigger space to shoot and like maybe even create more content. So that'd be cool. I think I want to do more merch. I'd like to bring back the call-in line, because I think that's fucking hilarious. So maybe we can do something like where like people like can call in, leave a message, we can feature it, or you can ask us questions and we can kind of like
That'd be awesome.
pick one question an episode that we answer. Yeah, I have some ideas. I'd like to also have interact with other people on the podcast. I think it'd be fun to like start doing things where like we either have like clips where we like meet up with other readers or other people. And I want to totally do the astrology group. I think we should start a Las Vegas chapter astrology group and find a place that wants to host us.
That'd be dope.
In fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada.
We'll get it cracking. And we can do tarot too, and just kind of like
I think that would be
have a
great.
reading mixer where we just read everyone reads each other for like 30 minutes and just like see where the night takes us.
I think that would be really fun. So, you know. And obviously more pizza parties. I feel like that was very popular. The pizza taco mukbangs. So maybe we can get like a sushi boat or something.
Well, now that the Wizard is coming out, I don't think Vegas, you're not safe anymore. We're gonna hit the streets like to rap. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, just like weird, wacky Aquarius stuff, basically.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Aquarius season, because obviously
the return of the agenda.
But also it's like so. It reminds me so much of February 2021. Mm-hmm. You know, the Mercury retrograde in
it's starting to look
Aquarius.
Like it again. Everything's setting up.
Well, look at the pileup of planets. We are going to have, you know, Sun, Mercury, Saturn, and then eventually Venus and eventually Mars that are all going to go through Aquarius. Mostly it's going to be the Saturn, Sun, Mercury, but Venus will join in the mix when she's done with her retrograde bullshit.
Yep.
So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the feeling and maybe some of the most important transits. I guess we can't really talk about this without talking about the full moon that actually happens just prior. I think it's important to kind of touch on just how extremely
uncomfortable. I mean,
yeah.
incredible. Incredible.
Just like that full moon in opposition to Pluto.
That to me is the final boss battle that is going to really test your individual feelings.
Boss battle like Bowser?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
I love that you said that, because when you play Mario, the first boss isn't Bowser, right? But the last one is. And this is, you know,
okay, that makes sense that I remember that one.
the collective authority versus how you individually feel, and are you going to lose? Which losing it doesn't mean it's versus side, it's anything that's against what you personally want to do versus what, you know, force in Capricorn, extreme Plutonian force, you might be forced to do. So this is going to provide just like such incredible breakthrough for people who, you know, pass this test.
Yeah.
Whew,
It's
that's
uncomfortable. I think it's interesting because it's also just reminding us of like this gangbuster of planets that we've had in Capricorn. It's like been a very Saturn party. Like at least Saturn, Capricorn is more like initiatory. Okay, this is what we're starting. This is what we're doing. I really felt that when the sun went into Capricorn this season.
That's so real.
But also it's still Saturn energy similar to Saturn and Aquarius and Mercury. So it's interesting to see like Mercury retrograde back. It'll retrograde to about these degrees. I think it retrogrades to 26 degrees. So there is this reoccurrence of Mercury and Venus and, you know, the sun all activating this 26, 27 degrees of Capricorn, which I think is boundaries, you know, kind of like, okay, well, this is what is and isn't working. And then the full moon is obviously being a lunar ruled moon. It's just very emotional, and I feel like it's like very Ten of Wands
oh my
energy.
God, that's so true.
You know, just like, oh, it's just too much.
Yeah.
So there was definitely this like harsh kind of Saturn reality that hit when it was like going back to work for the new year.
Oh yeah, that's
right.
true.
And so it's just it's
taking
going
into
to
account
drag out
like everything that's coming to, and also going back to work. So that Mercury to Pluto is definitely a reset on top of the boundaries. What do you think about the trine in Neptune?
I'm a fan of the sextiles between planets in Capricorn and planets in Pisces, especially Neptune. I liked it all year when Jupiter was, I liked it all last year when it was in Aquarius because it was making aspects to the nodes, but I think I'm going to like it even more this year because Jupiter and Neptune are in the same sign. So they're not conjunct yet, but it's almost like, you know, Neptune paves the way for like fantasy land to whatever our practical goals and desires are in Capricorn. So it softens the Capricorn energy. It helps us realize that we have to let some things go, but it also gives us hope and inspiration and perhaps maybe building towards something, even if you can't see it yet.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so true. In fact, ever since Jupiter went into Pisces, I've just been so much more ecstatic, giving up the need to know how things happen. It's just like, you know what? I believe this is going to happen and I'm excited. It's like, yes, I don't even know how it's going to happen, but let's go. And I didn't realize a lot of that was Jupiter in Pisces. And, you know, one thing that I really enjoy, or I just find mind-blowing since when we started last year, is Saturn was still just entering Aquarius. Yeah. So now we have like a whole like year with it where we're a lot more like in the know of like what we're dealing with and you know, seeing these new variants and really now asking the question, how much longer do we have to go through this charade or just this whole process, right? It's a lot of stuff that's happened very quickly in a year too. Yeah, I mean a lot's gone on, and I also feel like in a way, you know, not that 2020 was not challenging. Certainly that was a very challenging year, but 2021 felt more kind of like we're getting the hang of things. Especially by the end of 2021, it's like, you know, we're used to the social distancing, we're used to working remotely, we're used to making these changes. Pivoting is really what we saw a lot of in 2021. So I think for the most part, it was a lot easier. Maybe Jupiter being in Aquarius helped, and it was kind of like, well, this is a difficult change, but it's for the best. I think in preparation for 2022, 2020 just out the gate was just like, what the fuck is going on? It seemed like an end of the world scenario in a lot of ways for a lot of people. So I'm more optimistic. I think that
even though 2021 was challenging, that 2022 is like, okay, well, we're just going to keep on like this is the new normal.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to be a lot more adaptable.
But it's still a closing adaptable for sure, because there's going to be so much to adapt to.
Yeah.
But this is like a very fast 5-month closure.
Yes.
So I really wouldn't be surprised if like May coming into the Taurus like eclipse, Jupiter in Aries, it's like, okay, now we're done with this whole thing. And then as it retrogrades back into Pisces, it's reevaluating so we don't have to wear masks anymore. And then Jupiter Aries on to the next. So we could see the end of at least the first phase of what we're going through in a different response to this pandemic.
So I think one thing that I like about Aquarius season, and I looked at it a little bit this morning, is that there is going to be this this Mercury kazimi. Where is that? Here we go. Be right around here. So we'll see a Mercury kazimi. It'll be when Mercury moves in front of the sun, which looks like it already happened. There we go. On the 23rd. So I like it because I feel like it's going to bring us some information that we were not aware of. Like you see that with the kazimi that, you know, Mercury is carrying the message back to the sun, back to the king. So look for some really important piece of information, especially because the moon in Libra that day is still going to be in an out of element trine to the North Node, and it's trining the sun and Mercury. So partnership, diplomacy, you know, and at the time Venus is getting ready to go direct.
And, you know, Juno's on Pluto, so this is like an extreme commitment to like whatever narrative is being set. And yeah, I think that's the most important kazimi of the year in the beginning of the year, because it's literally revealing the next plan. Well,
and the power of union, and partnership, and people kind of banding together and working together, right? Mm-hmm. Especially when we see that Mercury will retrograde back to these degrees. So it'll drop back into Capricorn on January 26th. And we're also seeing that the sun is coming into its conjunction with Saturn.
Right when Mars starts to catch up with Venus. So that's like a lot getting ready to like stop and move forward and like restructure.
This is an interesting day also on January 30th when, you know, Mars and Venus are in Capricorn. Venus is direct. The moon's in Capricorn. And Mercury is retrograding backwards in conjunction to the moon. Holy Capricorn day.
You know what that feels like?
Very Saturn day.
Right.
The Sun-Saturn conjunction.
It's like a new rule, mandate, law that gets introduced, and then it's like people respond to how they integrate it, but I think it's going to be huge. And didn't that happen, something like that, last year?
So every time Saturn went in and out of the later degrees of Capricorn, we saw lockdown, shutdowns, talk about the boundaries, the walls, countries closing down. So I guess the silver lining in this is that there is a sextile to the South Node.
True that.
Okay, we also have sextiles to both Jupiter and Neptune. And it's in a trine to the North Node in Taurus. So that's going to be interesting because the question of power and authority and how the public is responding to making changes or going back on anything involving Mercury, business, you know, whether or not they're passing bills, whether or not there's the money to pass bills, at least here in the States.
And Ghislaine Maxwell, who's Sun and Saturn.
I've said this before. Do you think she's going to live through that? Because I was looking at the Pluto-Saturn conjunction and the Venus retrograde, and I'm like, it should be a government official that takes her out, by the way.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Pluto.
Because it's in her 8th.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in regards to that. But that's a day to watch.
Yeah.
Just with the amount of planets in Capricorn. And you know, we've talked a little
take time.
bit about how it's a process. Have you felt that? Because it's right on top of your moon and on your Saturn. Have you felt like everything is... It's a process right now?
Yeah, I feel like I'm killing time. I feel like it's a lot happening at once, but it's still like downloading a terabyte or so file and you're at like the 96%. And it's just like...
Oh, so you're really feeling that Saturn aspect of time. To me, it's like time is going by so quickly that there's not enough hours in the day for me to get the things done that I'm trying to get done. Like,
And
I'll
so
start
much
doing something in
information
the
coming,
morning
too.
or working on something or working through something or setting something up, and then I turn around and I'm like, how is it 6 o'clock? Like, where did the day go?
I love that. The older
Yeah.
you get, the more faster time accelerates, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, that is like a crazy Capricorn stellium and day, like Mars in its exaltation. We're moving forward on some of the most important things. But I mean, the square to Uranus is definitely
Yeah, I mean, and
Wild.
we're gonna see. Thankfully, yeah, the Sun square Uranus, but
and Saturn, of course.
But I mean, I think thankfully the Saturn Uranus square is waning, so there's
Yeah,
that.
that's true.
And I think that it's gonna come back strong. It's like I told a lot of my clients, or when I was just talking on my channel, just because the Saturn Uranus square isn't exact this year,
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're not gonna feel it. If anything, it's
Exactly,
gonna come
yes.
back with a vengeance.
Yes.
Like September through December, like it's whatever intensity you have felt over Christmas. The Saturn Uranus square is like a bending until something breaks.
And it's a continuation too.
Yeah, but it's gonna get more intense next year
That is a
because
fact.
it's gonna happen at the end of next year in the midst of a Mars retrograde, which will be retrograde trining Saturn. So it's going to be interesting. I think that there's repetitive themes, like even looking at the end of 2022, Mercury will be retrograding in Capricorn, actually, over the end of December. So we'll have the same retrograde with the same conjunctions to Pluto and also to Saturn. Like, you may find yourself in a situation at the beginning of 2022 where you're like, I can't do this for another year. In 1 year's time, I need to be here.
Yeah.
And then by the time Mercury retrogrades, it's going to be interesting at the end of 2022 because some people are going to go, oh, I spent a year just hoping the world was going to change and it didn't.
That's so
or
deep.
I spent a year, focusing on this goal. Did I achieve that goal?
Or it did change, you just didn't adapt. And the most important thing about what Candace just said is this year is definitively the last chapter of the last book. Like, this is the transition to where Pluto flirts with Aquarius. Like, we're crossing over there.
Yeah.
It's not a
And
game.
Pluto will do a little dance, I think. What is
Right.
it, 2023?
2023, 2024.
Yeah,
and
it
then
goes in and
boom,
out a little
2025.
bit. And then,
Yep.
when a planet like
going
Pluto
down.
ingresses into a new sign, especially a fixed sign, like...
Where were you 2008? Like, that was crazy.
Yeah, well, it's funny. Oh my God. 2008, right when Pluto moved into Capricorn, it was on my IC, exactly.
Ooh.
And my house was haunted.
Oh my God.
No, I'm not even kidding you. My
can't
house
make
was
this
haunted. My house was haunted.
Yo,
Pluto
that's
entered my fourth
crazy.
house, and I was
That's
living in an
wild. I believe
apartment,
that.
a second-story apartment in Burbank, and weird things started happening. I watched things like levitate in the house, and I
Damn.
watched like stuffed animals get pulled across the floor and all kinds of weird things.
Damn.
And we brought somebody in to look at the house, and like this weird lady who used to like chain smoke with an oxygen tank. At the end of the
Pluto as fuck.
at
Holy
the
shit.
end of the like block of apartments, and she's like, oh, I've lived here for like 40 years, and she's like, that apartment's haunted. And everybody said this lady was crazy, but I was like, what do you mean it's haunted? She's like, yeah, it's haunted. She's like, people don't stay there long, people move in and out. She's like, it's like cursed. That year that I lived there, the guy next door blew his brains out. Oh my okay God. And he was married to a woman, and the woman walked in and found him. We heard a bang. We didn't know what it was. Turns out he contracted HIV and didn't know how to tell his wife, so he killed himself, and she walked in and found this. The guy on the other side died, and they found him dead like 3 days
What?
later.
That's
and
Pluto
our
as
apartment
fuck.
was in the middle of this. It was terrible.
Would you believe me if I said her son is on Pluto?
It's
so
true.
she's aware, like,
yeah,
that's
and
wild.
I was like, something's not right here. So I talked
That's
to Crazy
wild.
Lady,
Holy
and
crap.
she said that in the late 70s, because in the center of the complex there was a pool, right? In the second story there was like bars, but apparently like they put mesh on it in the 90s because this single mom lived on the second floor and had a toddler. The toddler was on the bars or whatever, and he squeezed through and he fell 2 stories to his death and he died.
Damn.
What's weird is that the lights were weird. Like somebody was like flipping the switch. Like you could hear the switch being flipped sometimes and the lights going on and off. We saw stuff move. I don't know. But that lady was like, yeah, that place is haunted. Well, it was like a toddler that died there.
Damn.
Fucking weird. And at one time I had sleep paralysis and I like fell asleep and like woke up but couldn't move. And I saw this little kid like coming towards me. It too much.
Malevolent spirits.
Anyways, so the point is that when a planet ingresses to a new sign, you're gonna see it. You're gonna feel it. I'm waiting for the vampires to show up with Pluto and Aquarius.
I feel like they're all gonna resurrect. I feel like some ancient clan is resurrecting.
I hope it's like Lost Boys. Have you seen that movie? Like
I've
the
heard of
80s
it,
movie with like all the Lost Boys, like the kid pirates, like they're like little punk vampire kids and they eat pizza and it's the 80s. It's great. You should watch it.
Shit, I've heard it referenced.
Hopefully it's like that.
In a way, it should be. But then there's Uranus and Taurus that just makes it weird as fuck. Like, just crazy, like, but also practical and innovative. So, I mean, yeah, this is definitely, but I just kind of want to emphasize that's just crazy. Like, we're going through a whole Pluto return for America, but we're seeing the definitive end of a lot that has happened in a while. And I just saw a meme that said that kind of highlighted how, like, Neptune was in Pisces the last time there was, like, a civil war, and Pluto was in Cap the last time there was a revolutionary war, and there was like another aspect there that kind of aligned all this. And one thing that I'm very, because Aquarius and Pisces season is the end of the cycle before the new year, and so we're gonna see for the first time Mars with Venus in the Mars return of the apocalypse, March 21st, 2020, where we had that 23 degree.
Yeah.
Mars returning back is now following up pestilence, and that's war, you know? So like this coming into Aquarius, this might be more of like a economic metaverse war, or like a crypto war, or like
it's a political
trade war, political war,
Yeah.
but it's a war. So like this is definitely going to kick off this whole new cycle, but this time with Venus, with Saturn, and this is going to be crucial.
I'm not crazy
sure.
about the Saturn energy, and this is coming from somebody who has Venus and Capricorn.
Right.
I'm not a fan of seeing like Venus, Moon, Mercury, Pluto, and Capricorn because it's very Saturn-like.
Yeah.
But Mars is exalted in Capricorn.
Yeah.
And what we're going to see happening, you know, from Aquarius season on, is Mars and Venus are going to move together for a very long time. They're going to move together all through Capricorn, all through Aquarius, all through Pisces, and then
That's romantic.
Venus is going to kind of speed up and get into Aries and kind of lose Mars a little bit. But we are going to see
that
them.
whore. No, I'm just joking. That's actually interesting
I'm liking
in
Mars
Aries.
and Venus in Capricorn, though. Even though I'm not a fan of Venus there, Mars and Venus together is definitely very passionate.
That's getting shit done together.
Yeah,
though.
it's getting shit done.
Extremely. Like,
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that. I'm not crazy about seeing, you know, Venus getting enclosed by Mars and Saturn. That may not
Yeah.
happen until later in February,
But that's really symbolic. So Mars is in exaltation, and then it's with Venus in her exaltation.
So
that's
it really
cool.
starts to kind of pick up here. So we've got a new moon in Aquarius on the 2nd of February. Oh, excuse me, the 1st of February.
That's gonna be
With Saturn square
Right.
Uranus. So what do you think about that new moon?
super binding. Super binding. It's like, it's also like very attached to cryptocurrency, because there's updates in regulations that are coming with like these new NFTs, or we might even see a new concept on that level, like just crazy technology. So,
I mean, the ruler of this moon is Uranus, and Uranus is in a trine to Venus and Mars.
so it's moving forward on automating. I think a lot of people are going to come into ridiculous returns on everything you invested last year too. So it's like stepping into new projects, but it's hard to say, because at this state, we're stepping into uncharted territory that we're not going to know until like May what it looks like. So a lot of you could be starting certain things that you don't expect to like 10x or like go crazy in such a short amount of time.
I mean, I'm
So you wanna see that as the
loving this
beginning.
though, because like all these planets
Right.
in Capricorn, they are sextile Jupiter. they're trine Uranus or the North Node, and they're sextile the South Node.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a pretty interesting time. It's like when you get water and earth together and you make mud, and then it's able to like harden and, create the foundation for like a home, right? Or like a pot. Yeah. So it's really, you're starting to see things form.
Yeah.
Which I'm really excited about. Those of you guys who are like entrepreneurs, or maybe you're thinking about launching businesses or getting long-term goals kind of underway, I would say at least wait until Venus is direct and Mercury is direct. Because when you see these planets go direct, it's going to be like, okay, now I'm ready. So the new year, in a way, it doesn't feel like it starts in the new year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It feels like preparation for the new year.
So then,
like extra preparation.
Venus is now direct. Mercury's direct also as of February 3rd.
Just in time for Moon in Aries too,
And
which is
Sun
very
conjunct Saturn.
revealing. Yeah. That's just like at 15 degrees is a very crucial decision, because at this point, it's not like last year where we're like, okay, what is post 2020 COVID like? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we've done this for a year. And so we have an idea of how this is going to end. We're going to have an idea. They're going to start to tell us for the first time, okay, this is how we're closing this out. This is realistically, which now the whole Pisces element is, are they going to add something new? Is something else going to come up, right? But like, this is going to really be concrete into how, coming into the last end of Aquarius, we come into the conclusion of a lot of what's happening.
Well, I mean, I think the writing's going to be on the wall early, though, because, the sun will come into a square with Uranus, right? And the moon, actually, on the 30th. Or actually, no, I take that back. The 29th of January. And so it's squaring Uranus, and then it conjuncts Saturn. So something may actually happen the end of January that makes certain organizations or governments or whatever actually kind of rein it in and go, nope. We're not doing that. So it's trying to kind of put out the flames of the Sun-Uranus square, And,
I know, like, squares like this brought the Wall Street bets, right? So, like, there is some kind of countercurrent. There is some kind of, like, hack. There is some kind of, like, rebellion in anything new that establishes.
This is also, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're straight.
This is uncomfortable, too, February 5th.
With the Aries Chiron.
Moon in Aries square Mercury and Pluto. Right?
And I mean, the sextile to Aqua is like expressing yourself to a collective, but then knowing what you express could offend like 3/4 of what you're saying or who you're saying it to, but then that other quarter is extremely sympathetic towards you, or maybe 3/4 to a quarter. So it's nothing you're going to feel the pressure to inhibit yourself. That's that Aries energy, and you don't want to hold back. You want to still be authentic.
I'm really liking also the 8th of February, the moon in Taurus and a trine to Mercury and Pluto in Capricorn. Definitely getting down to business stuff regarding money, finances. Early February might be a really great time to like get cracking on your taxes and not waiting until April. Just with the Mercury-Pluto conjunction, trine the North Node, that makes me feel like it's a good time to like come up with budgets and strategize, how much money you want to make or where you're investing or kind of like what you're doing with money. Certainly, globally, I think there's going to be lots of legislation or talks or things kind of being put in place in regards to business, big business investments, things like that.
Especially with the North Node on that moon, that's kind of like a checkpoint to me for the Taurus new moon.
So then we've got the full moon coming in at, I think it's actually going to be 28 degrees of Leo.
Yep.
Yeah.
Square Algol.
Oh boy.
Square the nodes.
Square the nodes and Algol. So a lot of frustration and people not knowing how to adapt in mid-February, especially with that full moon.
But a lot of knowledge that gives you an idea of what's to come before we go through Pisces and you realize that it's nothing what you thought it was. So it would be hard to adapt. For sure.
That's hard when the sun rules that lunation and it's square the nodes, because I could see like ego getting in the way.
Yeah.
A lot of
and
ego
possessiveness
deaths.
and this is mine. Like, how do I like secure that. But
I would say, you know, whose ascendant that is.
oh shit!
That's our buddy Trump's ascendant, so he'll be an interesting person to watch in mid-February. Yeah. Anybody who's got
his social media platform, by the way, should probably be out
okay.
by then, or will be out after, like in Pisces. So
that's uncomfortable. That grand fixed cross, though. I mean, that's a real way. Kind of like the Aquarius season really goes off with a bang when you look at that, and the Mars-Venus conjunction. So actually, that looks about exact during the time of the full moon. So that'll be interesting too.
That's a new Mars-Venus cycle happening while we release and complete the Aquarius cycle.
But did it happen earlier? Because I think it conjuncts at 14. I could be. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you've got February 12th through the 14th. So this is interesting. Very kind of sexy Valentine's Day. Lots of whips and chains and leather and daddy doms.
You're mine.
Mars and Venus and Capricorn.
Yeah. Very serious.
It's also kinky with the trine to Uranus.
Yeah.
I don't mind it.
It's doing something new for sure that you probably not used to doing, but you find out is very cool.
I think a lot of people are going to get engaged on this full moon because it's in Leo. The moon is in opposition to Juno, and it's also in a square to Uranus and a trine to Pluto. So something about that makes me feel like, or a sextile to Pluto, excuse me. It's a sextile. Yeah. What else?
Well, really, this is also Jupiter making it through that first decan, which I think is the most important part.
It's going to go fast.
Of Aquarius. Yeah, it's going to be by April by Neptune. So this is the Aquarius season is going to allow us the knowledge with which we'll, with that basis, know what to imagine. And so Jupiter going through that first decan during Aquarius season while we're downloading knowledge is just, seeing possibilities, seeing how more screwed we are, but how we're also going to break through because it's revolution time,
I mean, I'm very more so excited, I would have to say, for Pisces season. Not to downplay Aquarius season, but
it's gonna be serious.
There's almost like something that's already working on Pisces season. We started seeing it brewing in December when planets got into Capricorn, when it was sextiling Neptune.
Yeah.
Now we get into Pisces season and we're seeing all the other planets in Capricorn sextiling Neptune again, and then the conjunctions that the Sun will eventually make to Neptune. So I would say hope and inspiration, creativity, connection to higher self, like a really strong routine, spiritual practice. And it may seem more practical at first, I think, with all the planets in Capricorn. So at least that's how I've experienced it. The planets moving through Capricorn were getting me really structured about all the things that I want to create time for and how I do that and how I get that all organized and I initiate that. Mm-hmm. So that way, when I do get to March, I can feel okay, my schedule is I'm not stressed out. It feels like I'm in a state of meditation and the vision's coming together. So,
and that's the key word. Pisces season will see everything come together, 12 years worth, and this is the first major conjunction since the 1800s. So
yeah, I talked about it on my channel about how the tin type camera was developed that year. Wow. And we saw also lots of peace treaties because obviously, Neptune wants peace. So I feel like it could be quite wonderful to see certain things calm down and lots of outpouring of assistance and being more sympathetic and vulnerable and emotionally aware of those who are in need. To me, it seems very whimsical, kind of like Disneyland or something. The Jupiter, Venus, Neptune stuff that's going to start happening later this year.
It reminds me of how Elon Musk was here's $7 billion. Give me a plan. We'll end world hunger. And I feel like that's Jupiter and Neptune. He's hey, we ended world hunger, kind of.
I keep saying I hope that we find Atlantis.
Yeah. And I feel like if they don't, you still will.
You'll find jewels or jewelry or art, or something Venusian.
Yeah.
With the conjunction and also
or in a different form.
I have this feeling that we're going to see this huge, everybody who has spent 2 years locked in an apartment or, alone or dealt with like death or transition or loss or like isolation. We're going to see some really amazing films next year, like a total renaissance when it comes to like music and also art.
Recap of everything we went through and what happened, bringing back that culture. It's just going to be terrifyingly divine.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how it plays out. I'm stoked that it, Aquarius season is going out with a bang. So certainly it's going to really encompass the later degrees of Leo. So, whatever it is, it's about kind of like going big or going home. And definitely super romantic, a full moon in those degrees of Leo. Very, very creative. And then basically, the next day on the 17th, later in the day, the sun ingresses then into Pisces. So it really wraps up just post that full moon.
And you'll begin to process all the knowledge that we gained through Aquarius season while you're beginning to imagine it. And it's going to be dreamy, but it's also going to be, you're going to step into the next wave that's going to come into July, and we're going to be introduced to stuff we'll be talking about till the summer. But I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. Remember everything we said, because we're also leveled up on the predictions and the accuracy.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of feedback from people over the last year about being like, you called this, you called that. So it's kind of cool to like come on here and like serve the tea for everybody on the interwebs, so you guys are like aware when it comes. So. Thank you guys so much for watching, for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. We love you so much. We appreciate it. We're so happy and stoked to be here back for season 2. Don't forget to hit the bell button below so that way you can get alerts when we have new episodes out. We'll see all of you guys very soon. Take care.
Make sure to join level 1, 2, or 3 so you can catch us early. Peace.